Virginia is for lovers, we were reminded a couple of times as the Bachelorette and her gang of 9 invaded Richmond in Monday's episode. It was also for haters, thanks to Lincoln Adam and Chris Randon. The two bickered so much, including an embarrassing skirmish in front of members of the public, Abe Lincoln and George Washington on a group date at the state capitol building, that Becca probably felt like staging her own evacuation. Bachelorette villain Chris Randon gets advice from Abraham Lincoln during a visit to the Virginia Capitol building in Richmond. "We're guessing, slag your rival in front of a bunch of strangers. I wasn't one of the tips." Paul Hebert, ABC. Neither man was acting like husband material. Hell, neither man was acting like a mature human being, but we waited most of the episode to see them get the boot. Chris was first to go. Perhaps all that history went to his head, with its reminders of the Civil and Revolutionary Wars, because he was treating his quest to get back in Becca Kufrin's good books like a military campaign. "In previous situations in my life I always find a way to win and I'm not gonna lose this battle," he declared after the group date fiasco. But his attempt to woo Becca by going to her hotel suite to show her his passion turned into a rout. Article continued. Bella was for Lincoln. He and his previous antagonist, Connor of the Herald photograph, got the heave-ho at the rose ceremony. Here's how it all went down. The battle begins. We had no sooner heard Chris in his voiceover claim that he was going to ignore all the other men to focus on Becca than he got into a pissing match with Lincoln in their hotel suite. It began right after Jason learned he was getting a one-on-one date. Chris said he wanted a one-on-one or a two-on-one. Lincoln told him he should focus on just getting more time with Becca, and they were off. Chris accused Lincoln of body-shaming him for reminding him he used to weigh 300 pounds. Lincoln accused Chris of shelving him and tried to play the tough guy, and blah 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 blah. As Colton put it, the wheels on the bus have come all the way off. One-on-one date, no. One with Jason. Corporate banker Jason seems like a great guy, just like Becca says he is. So great, he gamely tried to do splits and back bends with a goth dancer at the unhappy hour, at the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. Why? I guess it's just what one does when surrounded by people dressed in black drinking what look like glasses of blood. But lest Becca have any doubt of Jason's greatness, 3 of his friends were invited to meet them at a pub where they sang Jason's praises as a potential husband and father. Why were they there? Who knows? So Jason ticked off the goes with the flu and has good friends boxes, not to mention really good kisser, but Becca wanted to dig deeper. Article continued below. Get the dinner conversation about a painful life lesson. In Jason's case it was visiting his grandmother with Alzheimer's and seeing how his father smiled through his pain when his own mother didn't recognize him. You can't take any minute for granted, you can't take any day for granted, summarized Jason. And family and friends are everything. Becca was so moved she shared her own story of losing her father to cancer when she was 19. After all that, it was inevitable that Jason would get the date rose, and that he and Becca would privately describe themselves as falling for the other. Group date. Colton, Garrett, Wills, Connor, Blake, Lincoln and Chris toured the Capitol building with guides dressed as George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Chris said he was going in with guns blazing, hoping I'm able to come out victorious, but it was his temper that did the blazing when the men engaged in a debate to become Becca's running mate as part of Becca-election 2018. The questions were innocuous. What is your idea of the perfect date with Becca? What have you learned from past relationships? But Lincoln answered, how do you envision your future with Becca? By taking a shot at Chris for threatening to leave the week before. Chris retaliated by telling Becca that Lincoln had a nasty side that would leave her disgusted if she saw it. And then they began to rehash their stupid hotel suite argument in front of a crowd of disapproving Bachelorette fans, the 2 presidents, and the friggin' governor of Virginia. Way to represent, guys. It's so embarrassing these guys are airing their dirty laundry for everyone to see, said an annoyed Becca. Yeah, think. Still, Becca went into the cocktail party at least pretending she was ready to move on, but then Lincoln told her the other men were afraid of Chris because of his unpredictable behavior. Chris said it was all lies, but Becca was so disturbed she didn't want to talk to smiley-faced Garrett, telling him she needed time to herself. That had Garrett accusing Chris of having F***ed the whole night. Then Becca came back. Garrett got to read her some words he wrote about love, honesty, truthfulness and respect being the foundation of a relationship. Colton got to cuddle and smooch her, Wills got to kiss her and tell her he was falling in love with her, and Becca gave the date rose to Colton for treating her like a princess. Went on one date no. 2 with Leo. What can we say about Leo? Good hair. Away with words. Getting a one-on-one this late in the season is often a ticket home, especially considering Becca went into the date still bummed about the Lincoln versus Chris nonsense of the day before, but Leo was the consummate gentleman, telling Becca she didn't have to pretend to have fun. She sort of did what with the oyster harvesting and shucking on kissing Leo, not the oysters. At dinner, the stuntman opened up about the fact he felt like he failed his father because he never became a professional baseball player and how he always feels like, I am just not good enough. You think he wasn't getting a rose after that? Besides, there was a room full of Bachelorette fans waiting for Becca and Leo at the Dominion Energy Center where some poor country singer named Morgan Evans was performing. Nobody was listening to him, they were too busy snapping cell phone photos and videos of Becca and Leo, their every kiss greeted with delirious cheers. Chris makes his move. Once Leo came home from the date, Chris decided he had to repair the damage caused by that monster. Lincoln, the man eats 12 eggs every day, his cholesterol has to be 6,000, oh, well, that explains everything. Chris went to Becca's hotel suite to tell her he could see himself marrying her. 100%, hold up. As Becca said, that's a big step to go from last week you questioning where we are versus you saying you can see yourself getting down on one knee. Chris tried to convince Becca that what happened in Vegas should stay in Vegas, and that their adversity shouldn't stop him from getting what I want. I'm not gonna let it end something that I feel strongly about, but Becca felt just as strongly that Chris should go home. He got sulky then, insisting Becca didn't need to walk him out. She walked him as far as her suite door, where there was a grudging hug and Chris walked off into the night. I think Chris is just a very angry person, Becca said. The rose ceremony, I can't imagine what Connor and Lincoln could possibly have said to convince Becca to keep them around, but they never got the chance because she canceled the cocktail party and went straight to handing out flowers. 3 already bestowed, there were 3 more to give out, which went to Garrett, Blake and Wills. Connor blathered on about how Becca would never know if there's true love we could have had. Oh, trust me, dude, she knows. Next week, it's off to the Bahamas and what looks like another episode full of tension and second-guessing. Good times. You can watch Monday at 8 p.m. on City. And you can email me at dyo@thestar.ca, tweet me at realityo or visit my Facebook page.